9 black SUVs block the street, engines idle in perfect sync. Tinted windows reflect morning light like mirrors hiding secrets. Neighbors freeze mid-step on Brooklyn sidewalks. A woman drops her grocery bag. Oranges roll into the gutter. Caelum Reyes stands at his third-floor window, one hand pressed against the glass, the other cradling the swell of his stomach. 7 months. The baby kicks hard against his ribs. His son Elio sits cross-legged on the worn carpet, spooning cereal into his mouth. 4 years old. Bare-eared hoodie. Oblivious. The knock comes, heavy, controlled. Not angry, but absolute. Caelum's legs refuse to move, his pulse hammers in his throat. Omega instincts scream run, but there's nowhere left to go. Not anymore. He opens the door. Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. The hallway fills with men in tailored suits. Tom Ford, Brooks Brothers. Chrome hearts rings catching fluorescent light. They stand like soldiers, but their posture belongs to executioners. At the center stands an alpha, tall, charcoal overcoat, Rolex submariner glinting on his wrist. His face carries no expression, but his eyes, dark, tired, calculating, lock onto Caelum's belly. My name is Dorian Vale, the alpha says. His voice doesn't rise. It doesn't need to. Recognition hits like ice water down Caelum's spine. Dorian Vale, Mafia Sovereign, Eastern Corridor, holdings across Massachusetts, Maryland, Connecticut, a man who erases rivals in Chicago without leaving fingerprints. Caelum's knees buckle. He catches himself on the doorframe. We didn't do anything, Caelum whispers. Dorian's eyes shift past him, toward Elio. The child looks up from his cereal bowl, milk dripping from his spoon. You dropped something last night, Dorian says. Caelum's stomach twists. We didn't. One of Dorian's men steps forward. He holds a small envelope. Inside, a hospital bracelet. Faded. 4 years old. Elio's bracelet. From Baltimore. The premature birth. The escape from New Jersey. The violence Caelum thought he'd left behind. How? Caelum's voice cracks. Your son gave something to my security team last night, Dorian says. His tone remains flat. No warmth, no threat. Just facts delivered like verdict. They recorded everything. Caelum's mind spins backward. Last night. Rain-soaked Queens. The deli. The stranger in the charcoal coat. Elio running forward before Caelum could stop him, holding out their last $50. You look sad, Elio had said. And the stranger, Dorian, had crouched down, met the child's eyes. Returned the money with hands that could crush bone but chose mercy instead. Then he drove away. Just like that. My heir was taken from me 2 years ago, Dorian says now. His jaw tightens. Kidnapped. I searched New York, New Jersey, California. He was returned to me yesterday. Silence stretches. Heavy. Suffocating. Your child's kindness was shown to someone who'd forgotten it existed, Dorian continues. $50 wasn't charity. It was mercy. Caelum's breath comes shallow. His vision blurs at the edges. Why are you here? He manages. Dorian signals. Another man steps forward holding a tablet. The screen lights up. Photos, surveillance shots, taken from across the street. Caelum pushing a cart at the bodega. Elio holding his hand outside the laundromat. Caelum's pregnant belly visible in every frame. Timestamps, dates, locations. Someone has been watching you, Dorian says. The air freezes. Caelum's hands shake. The tablet screen shows more. Documents, financial records, communication logs between Houston and New Jersey. Then a name appears. Marcus Holloway. Caelum's ex. The father of the baby inside him. Your former mate sold your location, Dorian says. His voice drops lower. A syndicate based in Houston has been tracking pregnant Omegas connected to former pack leaders. using them as leverage. You were marked 3 weeks ago. The room tilts. Betrayal burns through Caelum's chest. Marcus had chosen power, chosen profit, chosen to trade the mother of his unborn child like currency. Elio stands now. He walks over and grabs Caelum's leg. Dorian watches. Doesn't move closer. He doesn't invade space. Just observes with eyes that have seen too much and still refuse to look away. I do not hurt Omegas, Dorian says, and I do not tolerate cowards who do. His voice hardens, not with rage, with decision. You and your son will relocate under my protection. Private estate, Greenwich, Connecticut, medical care, security, no strings. Caelum stares at him. His mind can't process the words. Why? Dorian exhales slowly. For the first time, something shifts in his expression. Not softness, but truth. Because your child reminded me that power without compassion rots the soul. The SUVs outside continue idling, waiting. 9 identical vehicles holding men who would kill on command, but right now stand guard over a pregnant Omega and his 4-year-old son. Caelum looks down at Elio, then back at Dorian. And if I say no? Dorian's eyes darken. Then Houston will arrive before your baby does. The apartment walls feel thinner now. Caelum sits on the edge of his bed, hands pressed over his stomach. The baby moves, steady kicks, rhythmic, oblivious to the chaos outside. Medical files spread across the mattress. New York Presbyterian Hospital. Blood pressure warnings, stress alerts. Your vitals are escalating, Mr. Reyes, the doctor had said 2 weeks ago. At 28 weeks, panic is dangerous. Panic had been Caelum's shadow since the New Jersey pack turned their backs, since Marcus chose ambition over loyalty, since survival became the only plan. Elio sits beside him now, legs swinging off the bed, clutching a stuffed bear with one missing eye. The child hums a song Caelum taught him. Something about stars, something about hope. Papa, are we going somewhere? Elio asks. Caelum doesn't answer. He stares at the window where 9 SUVs still line the street below. Neighbors have stopped pretending not to look. Phones raised, recording, whispering. The Vale name carries weight. In Massachusetts, Dorian Vale controls shipping routes through Boston Harbor. In Maryland, his influence runs through Baltimore's financial districts. Connecticut estates bear his name on deeds that never surface in public records. Power that operates in silence. Authority that doesn't announce itself because it doesn't need to. Caelum had heard stories. Everyone had. The alpha who dismantled Chicago syndicates without firing a shot. The sovereign who preferred legal warfare to bloodshed. The king who ruled through fear of consequence rather than violence. But mercy? That wasn't in the stories. Across the city, Dorian Vale stands in the penthouse of a Manhattan high-rise. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlook the skyline. His security chief, Langston Pierce, waits beside him. The Houston faction knows we're moving, Langston says. He's ex-military. Broad shoulders. Scar above his left eyebrow. They'll retaliate. Dorian doesn't respond immediately. He watches the city lights flicker. Thousands of lives moving below. Unaware. Protected by systems they'll never see. Let them, Dorian finally says. Langston shifts his weight. Sir, with respect, taking in a pregnant Omega and his child draws attention. The syndicate heads in New York are already questioning your focus. Dorian turns. His eyes carry no warmth, but they hold certainty. Yeah, my focus is exactly where it needs to be. They'll see it as weakness. They'll see it as choice, Dorian corrects. And choice is power they don't understand. Langston nods slowly. He's served Dorian for 8 years. Knows when to push and when to step back. Connecticut estate is ready, Langston reports. Medical team on standby. Dr. Simone Ellis from UCLA Obstetrics flew in this morning. She specializes in high-risk Omega pregnancies. Security? 12 rotating guards, perimeter sensors, panic room accessible from the main bedroom. Dorian nods. What about the Houston intel? Langston's jaw tightens. Marcus Holloway made contact with them 4 weeks ago. Sold location data for $30,000. Houston syndicate planned extraction for next week. Extraction, clinical term for kidnapping, or for using a pregnant Omega as collateral. Dorian's hands curl into fists. He forces them flat again. Holloway's accounts? Frozen as of an hour ago. Federal prosecutors in Boston have been notified. We provided enough evidence to trigger RICO investigation without our fingerprints on it. Justice, not revenge. The difference matters. Back in Brooklyn, Caelum finally stands. His legs protest. Pregnancy weight shifts his center of gravity. Everything hurts. He walks to the window, looks down at the SUVs, at the men standing guard, at the world that suddenly decided he mattered, not because of who he was, because of what a 4-year-old gave. $50? Their last $50. You look sad, Elio had said to a stranger. And that stranger had returned with 9 vehicles and a promise of protection Caelum never asked for. The question eats at him. What does a man like Dorian Vale gain from this? Power brokers don't move without return on investment. Protection isn't free. Mercy doesn't exist in the world of syndicates and territories. Yet, here they are. Waiting. Caelum's phone buzzes. Unknown number. He stares at it. Doesn't answer. It buzzes again. He picks up. Mr. Reyes. Dorian's voice. Controlled. No inflection. We leave in 30 minutes. Pack only what matters. I haven't agreed to anything, Caelum says. Silence on the other end. Not angry. Just patient. You will, Dorian says. Because you're smart enough to know the alternative. The line goes dead. Elio tugs on Caelum's shirt. Papa, the man from last night is nice. Caelum looks down at his son. At innocence that still believes kindness exists without cost. Maybe, Caelum whispers. Now he walks to the closet. Pulls out a duffel bag. Starts packing. Clothes for Elio, medical records, the hospital bracelet from Baltimore, a photo of his mother, dead 5 years now. Everything that matters fits in one bag. Everything else is just weight. Outside, the SUVs wait. Engines humming, ready. 30 minutes later, Caelum stands in the hallway holding Elio's hand, the duffel bag slung over his shoulder. Dorian waits at the bottom of the stairs. No smile, no reassurance, just presence. This way, he says. Caelum descends. Each step feels like walking off a cliff. At the bottom, Dorian doesn't touch him, doesn't guide him, just walks toward the lead SUV. A man in a Brooks Brothers suit opens the door. Caelum hesitates. Dorian pauses, turns back. I won't force you, Dorian says. But they will. He nods toward the street corner. A sedan parked 2 blocks down. Tinted windows, out of place. Houston, already here. The estate sits behind iron gates in Greenwich, Connecticut. Manicured lawns stretch toward tree lines. Gravel driveway curves past fountains. The main house rises 3 stories, stone and glass, modern but timeless. Security cameras tucked discreetly under eaves. Caelum steps out of the SUV. His legs barely hold him. Elio gasps. Papa, it's like a castle. It's not a castle, it's a fortress disguised as luxury. Dorian walks ahead. Doesn't wait for reactions. Doesn't offer tours. Just moves through the front entrance like a man who owns every space he occupies. Inside, marble floors gleam under chandelier light. A woman in scrubs waits near the staircase. Mid-40s. Calm expression. Stethoscope around her neck. Dr. Simone Ellis, she introduces herself. I'll be overseeing your prenatal care. Caelum nods. Can't find words. Let's get you examined, Dr. Ellis says gently. The trip was stressful. I want to check the baby's heartbeat. She leads Caelum upstairs. Elio follows, still clutching his bear. The bedroom is massive. King-sized bed. Sitting area. Attached bathroom with a soaking tub. Windows overlook gardens bathed in afternoon light. Dr. Ellis gestures to the bed. Lie back for me. Caelum complies. She pulls up his shirt. The Doppler wand presses cold against his skin. Then, the heartbeat. Strong, fast, steady. Caelum's eyes burn. Relief crashes over him. Baby's doing well, Dr. Ellis says. Heart rate is excellent, but your blood pressure is elevated. We need to monitor that closely. She makes notes on a tablet, asks questions. Last meal, sleep patterns, stress levels. Caelum answers mechanically. When she finishes, she touches his shoulder. You're safe here. I know it doesn't feel that way yet, but you are. She leaves. Elio climbs onto the bed, curls against Caelum's side. Papa, my tummy hurts. Caelum's heart drops. Where? Here. Elio pats his stomach. I'm hungry. Relief again. Just hunger. Just a child needing food. Downstairs, the kitchen staff has already prepared a meal. Langston guides them to the dining room. Plates of grilled chicken, roasted vegetables, fresh bread. Elio devours everything. Caelum picks at his food. Can't taste it. Dorian doesn't join them. After dinner, Langston shows them the panic room. Hidden door behind a bookshelf in the bedroom. Reinforced walls. Communication system. Supplies for 72 hours. You'll never need it, Langston says. Yeah, but you should know it's there. That night, Caelum lies awake. Elio sleeps beside him, breathing soft and even. The baby kicks. Caelum places both hands over his stomach. Talks to the life inside. Promises safety he's not sure he can keep. His phone buzzes. Text from unknown number. You think you're safe? You're not. We know where you are. We'll wait. Caelum's blood turns to ice. He sits up, checks the locks, checks the windows. Panic claws up his throat. Another text. Greenwich won't save you, neither will Vale. We're patient. Caelum's hands shake. He wants to scream, wants to run, but there's nowhere left. He grabs his phone, calls the only number saved. Dorian answers on the first ring. Someone texted me, Caelum whispers. They know where I am. Silence then. Show me. 10 minutes later, Dorian stands in the bedroom. Langston beside him. They examine the phone. Burner number, Langston says. Routed through multiple servers. Houston signature. Dorian's jaw tightens. He looks at Caelum. Did you tell anyone you were here? No one. Family? Friends? I don't have anyone. Dorian nods slowly, hands the phone to Langston. Trace it. I want location within the hour. Langston leaves. Dorian stays. Stands near the window, looks out at the grounds. This was always going to happen, he says quietly. Houston doesn't give up. They invested money. They expect return. Caelum's voice cracks. Then why bring me here? Why put a target on your own estate? Dorian turns. His eyes meet Caelum's. Because targets move, he says, and I control the field. What does that mean? It means they came for you in Brooklyn. They found guards. Now they came for you in Connecticut. They'll find walls. And if they get through? Dorian's expression hardens. They won't. But the certainty in his voice doesn't match the tension in his shoulders. Caelum sees it. The crack. The doubt Dorian won't say aloud. You're not sure, Caelum whispers. Dorian doesn't deny it. Langston returns. We've got partial trace. Signal bounced through New Jersey. Last known ping was 40 miles from here. 40 miles. Too close. Dorian's phone rings. He answers. Listens. His face betrays nothing. He hangs up. Houston sent a negotiator, Dorian says. They want a meeting. Caelum's heart stops. You're not going. I am. They'll kill you. Dorian almost smiles. Almost. They'll try. He walks toward the door. Pauses. Stay in this room. Langston will be outside. If anything happens, anything, you go to the panic room. Don't wait for permission. Dorian, this isn't negotiable, he says. You asked why I'm doing this. It's because your son gave mercy when no one else would. That changes things, and I don't let changed things die easily. He leaves. The door clicks shut. Caelum sits on the bed. Elio's still asleep. Baby's still kicking. Outside headlights cut through darkness. A car pulls up the driveway. Not SUVs this time, just one sedan. Dorian walks out alone. Caelum watches from the window, heart hammering. The sedan door opens. A man steps out. Tall, expensive suit. Confident stride. Dorian meets him halfway. They talk. Too far to hear. Too dark to see expressions. Then the man pulls something from his jacket. Not a gun, a tablet. He shows Dorian the screen. Even from the window, Caelum sees Dorian's posture change, sees his shoulders stiffen, sees his hands curl into fists. The man gets back in the sedan, drives away. Dorian stands alone in the driveway for a long moment. Then he turns, walks back inside. When he enters the bedroom, his face is unreadable. What did they show you? Caelum asks. Dorian doesn't answer immediately. Finally, a problem I didn't anticipate. What problem? Dorian looks at him. Really looks. Your ex didn't just sell your location, he says. He sold custody rights to your unborn child. The world stops. What? Houston has a contract. Signed, notarized. Marcus Holloway gave them legal claim to the baby the moment it's born. Caelum can't breathe. Can't think. That's not possible. It's already filed in Texas family court, Dorian says. They'll enforce it the second you go into labor. Elio stirs, mumbles in his sleep. Caelum stares at his stomach, at the life inside him that someone just bought like property. What do we do? He whispers. Dorian's eyes darken. We go to war. War doesn't start with bullets. It starts with lawyers. Dorian sits in his Manhattan office at 6 a.m. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlook a waking city. His desk holds 3 phones, 2 laptops, files stacked in precise order. Across from him sits Rebecca Hale, attorney, Harvard Law, specialty in family court warfare and interstate custody disputes. She wears a charcoal suit, no jewelry, just competence. The contract is legitimate, Rebecca says. She taps the document on her tablet. Marcus Holloway signed over parental rights to an entity called Meridian Holdings, LLC, registered in Houston, filed in Texas family court 6 days ago. Dorian's jaw tightens. Omega consent? Not required under Texas law if the alpha parent holds primary custody claim at conception. Caelum was never in Texas. Doesn't matter. Marcus established residency there 2 months ago. That gives Texas jurisdiction. Dorian leans back. His mind moves through options like chess pieces. Challenge the contract. Already drafting motions, Rebecca says. But Texas courts move slow. We're looking at months, maybe a year. The baby will be born in 8 weeks. I know. Silence fills the office, heavy, suffocating. What about Connecticut law? Dorian asks. Connecticut recognizes Omega autonomy, but if Houston files emergency custody before birth, they can argue imminent harm. Baby gets taken at the hospital. Over my dead body. Rebecca meets his eyes. That might be the price, Mr. Vale. Houston isn't playing legal games. They're using the law as a weapon. Dorian stands, walks to the window, watches yellow cabs crawl through morning traffic. There's always another option, he says quietly. Rebecca hesitates. Sir, relocation outside U.S. jurisdiction. That makes Caelum a fugitive. That makes Caelum unreachable. Rebecca closes her tablet. You're talking about ending your legitimate operations. Every federal contact you've built. Every legal shield you've maintained. I'm talking about keeping a child out of a syndicate's hands. Why? Rebecca's voice sharpens. You don't know this, Omega? You met him 2 days ago. His son gave you $50 and suddenly you're willing to burn your empire? Dorian turns. His expression doesn't change, but his words land like verdict. My empire was built on fear. Fear is effective, but it's empty. He pauses. That child showed me what I forgot, and I won't forget again. Rebecca studies him, calculates, decides. I'll prepare relocation documents. Canada, Omega sanctuary laws are stronger there. Do it quietly, she nods. Gathers her files, stands. Mr. Vale, if we do this, there's no coming back. Houston will retaliate. Your syndicate heads will question your authority. Some will challenge you directly. Let them. Rebecca leaves. Dorian stands alone. The city sprawls below. Thousands of people moving through lives they think they control. Power without purpose is just noise. His phone rings. Langston. Yeah, we've got a problem, Langston says. Another one? Internal. Someone leaked Connecticut location to Houston. The texts Caelum received? They came from inside our network. Dorian's blood goes cold. Who? Still tracing, but whoever it is has access to security protocols, schedules, medical appointments. A mole. Inside Dorian's own operation. Lock down the estate, Dorian orders. No one in or out without my direct approval. Run background on every guard hired in the last 6 months. Already in motion, Dorian ends the call. His second phone rings immediately. Unknown number, he answers. Mr. Vale. Smooth voice, confident. My name is Vincent Cross. I represent Meridian Holdings. Houston's lawyer. I know who you are, Dorian says. Then you know we have legal claim to the Omega's unborn child. We're prepared to enforce that claim the moment labor begins. You're prepared to kidnap an infant. Vincent laughs, soft, condescending. Kidnapping requires illegality. We have a contract, signed by the biological father, recognized by Texas courts. Connecticut doesn't recognize it. Connecticut won't have a choice. We've already filed emergency custody in 3 states. The moment that baby is born, we'll know, and we'll act. Dorian's grip tightens on the phone. What do you want? Cooperation? Stand down. Let us collect what we purchased. In return, we forget about your interference. And if I refuse? Then we make this very public, very messy. Your legitimate operations get dragged into federal scrutiny. Your syndicate heads lose faith. Your empire fractures. Vincent pauses. All for an Omega you don't even know. Dorian's voice drops to ice. Careful, Mr. Cross. Threats work better when the person you're threatening has something to lose. You have everything to lose. Wrong. I have everything to burn. And I'm very good at burning things. He hangs up. The city outside keeps moving. Oblivious. Back in Greenwich, Caelum sits in the garden. Elio runs through flower beds, laughing. The boy has adapted faster than Caelum expected. Children always do. Dr. Ellis checks Caelum's blood pressure. Frowns. It's still high, she says. We need to manage your stress. Hard to do that when people are hunting your baby. Dr. Ellis doesn't argue. She adjusts the cuff, takes another reading. Same result. I'm putting you on modified bed rest. No stairs, minimal activity. For how long? Until delivery. Caelum nods. Knows it won't matter. Stress isn't physical. It's existential. Elio runs over. Papa, look. He holds a yellow flower. Petals soft. Caelum takes it. Forces a smile. It's beautiful, baby. Langston approaches. His expression is tense. We need to talk, he says quietly. Dr. Ellis takes Elio to see the koi pond. Gives them space. Caelum stands. What happened? Someone inside our team is feeding information to Houston. We're investigating. But until we find them, you're vulnerable. Caelum's legs weaken. He sits on the bench. So everything Dorian promised, it's not real. It's real, but it's compromised. What does that mean for me? Langston hesitates. It means we move you again. Tonight. To where? Safe house. Undisclosed location. Only Dorian and I will know. Caelum looks at the house. At the gardens. At Elio, laughing by the pond. How many times do I have to run? Langston's face softens. Barely. Until they stop chasing. That night, Caelum packs again. Same duffel bag, same medical records, same photo of his mother. Elio doesn't understand. Papa, I like it here. I know, baby, but we have to go. Why? Because some people want to take you away from me. Elio's eyes widen. I don't want that. Me neither. They leave at midnight. 2 SUVs, Langston driving the lead vehicle. Dorian in the second. No headlights until they hit the highway. Caelum watches Connecticut disappear through the rear window. 40 minutes later, they arrive at a small house in rural Massachusetts. No neighbors, woods surrounding. Single-access road. Inside, the space is sparse. Functional, no luxury, just safety. Dorian enters last. He looks exhausted. Now, this is temporary, he says. 3 days maximum. Then what? Caelum asks. Dorian doesn't answer. Langston's phone buzzes. He checks it. His face goes pale. Sir, we've got confirmation. Who? Marcus Holloway isn't in Texas. Where is he? Langston looks up. He's here, Massachusetts, 20 miles away. The room goes silent. Caelum's voice breaks. He's coming for me. Dorian's eyes harden. Let him. 72 hours until birth. Dr. Ellis delivers the timeline at 7 a.m. She examines Caelum in the safe house bedroom, measures the baby's position, checks dilation. You're at 38 weeks and 4 days, she says. Baby has dropped. Your body is preparing. I'd say 3 days, maybe less. Caelum's hands shake. Can you stop it? Stop labor? Not without risking the baby's health. Everything is progressing naturally. Naturally. The word tastes bitter. Nothing about this is natural. Dr. Ellis packs her equipment. I've arranged a private delivery room at a clinic in Worcester. No public records, cash payment, but... She hesitates. But what? If Houston has court orders, they can track hospital admissions, even private ones. So where do I give birth? Dr. Ellis looks uncomfortable. Mr. Vale is making arrangements. She leaves. Caelum sits on the bed. Elio sleeps beside him, curled around his bear. The boy has stopped asking questions. Just accepts each new location like it's normal. Children adapt, or they break. Caelum won't let Elio break. Downstairs, Dorian stands in the kitchen. Coffee untouched. Langston beside him. Rebecca Hale on speakerphone. We're at Texas court issued emergency custody this morning, Rebecca says. They're arguing parental abandonment. Claim Caelum fled jurisdiction to avoid legal proceedings. Caelum was never in Texas, Dorian growls. Doesn't matter. Marcus filed affidavits stating Caelum planned to leave the country with the child. Judge signed the order. That's fabrication. That's strategy. And it worked. Dorian slams his fist on the counter. The coffee mug jumps. Langston speaks. We've got bigger problems. Marcus Holloway checked into a motel in Springfield. 40-minute drive from here. He's not alone, Rebecca adds. Meridian Holdings sent 2 representatives. They're coordinating with local authorities. Local police are involved? Dorian's voice drops to ice. Houston filed the custody order with Massachusetts Family Services. They're required to enforce it. When? The moment Caelum goes into labor. Silence. Then Dorian. We move him again. To where? Langston asks. We're running out of safe locations. Then we create one. Rebecca's voice cuts through the speaker. Mr. Vale, you need to understand. If you interfere with a court order, you become a criminal. Not just in Texas, federally. I already am a criminal, Ms. Hale. I'm just usually better at it. He ends the call. Langston crosses his arms. Sir, with respect, we're down to impossible choices. Then we choose the least impossible. Which is? Dorian looks toward the stairs, toward the bedroom where Caelum rests. We don't run, we prepare to fight. You can't fight a court order. No, but I can make enforcement very expensive. Langston understands immediately. Yeah, you're going to force Houston into public exposure. They operate in shadows, so do I, but I control more shadows. Dorian pulls out his phone, makes a call. I need a favor, he says when someone answers. Media coverage, custody case, Omega trafficking angle, can you run it? Pause. Tomorrow morning, front page. He hangs up. Langston raises an eyebrow. You're going to the press? I'm going to make Houston toxic. If they take that baby, every news outlet in the Northeast will call it kidnapping. It might not be enough. It doesn't have to be. It just has to make them hesitate. Upstairs, Caelum wakes to cramping. Low, rhythmic. Braxton Hicks, false labor, but it feels real enough. He breathes through it, counts seconds. The contraction fades, not yet, but soon. His phone buzzes, text from Marcus. We need to talk, eye face to face. Caelum deletes it, another text. I never wanted this. Houston forced my hand. Caelum's jaw clenches. Lies, all lies. Marcus chose money, chose power, chose to sell his own child. Another text. Meet me, alone, I can fix this. Caelum stands, walks to the window. Woods stretch in every direction. No cars, no movement. His phone rings, Marcus calling. Caelum answers. What do you want? Marcus's voice. Familiar. Once loved, now poison. I want to explain. Explain how you sold our baby. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like, Marcus? You needed $30,000 so bad you traded custody? Silence on the line. Then, they threatened me. Said if I didn't cooperate, they'd kill me. So you chose yourself. I chose survival. And what about our child? Marcus's voice cracks. I thought they just wanted leverage. I didn't know they'd actually take him. Him? The baby. I know it's a boy. The contract specifies male Omega offspring. Caelum's blood runs cold. How do you know it's a boy? Houston had your medical records pulled. They paid someone at the hospital. Another leak. Another betrayal. Where are you, Marcus? Springfield. I can meet you. We can figure this out together. There's nothing to figure out. You signed away my son. I can undo it. How? I can testify. Tell the court Houston coerced me. Invalidate the contract. Caelum's heart hammers. Why would you do that now? Because I saw the news this morning. Caelum freezes. What news? Dorian Vale. His name is everywhere. Omega trafficking investigation. Houston is scrambling. If I testify, I get immunity. So that's it. Marcus isn't here to save his son. He's here to save himself. I'm not meeting you, Caelum says. Caelum, please. He hangs up, hands trembling, vision blurred. Another contraction hits. Stronger this time. He grips the windowsill, breathes through it. 15 seconds, it passes. Not false labor anymore, real labor. Beginning. Caelum walks to the door, opens it. Langston stands in the hallway. Get Dr. Ellis, Caelum whispers. What's wrong? The baby's coming. Langston's eyes widen. He pulls out his phone, makes the call. Dorian appears at the top of the stairs, sees Caelum's face. How far apart? He asks. I don't know. That was the second one. Dorian nods, controlled, focused. We have time. Dr. Ellis will be here in 20 minutes. Another contraction. Caelum doubles over, grabs the door frame. Dorian moves forward. He doesn't touch. Just stands close. Grounding. Breathe. In through your nose. Out through your mouth. Caelum follows the instruction. The pain crests. Fades. How do you know what to do? Caelum gasps. Dorian's expression shifts. Barely. I was there when my son was born, before he was taken. The vulnerability in those words cuts deeper than any threat. Elio wakes up, sees Caelum hunched over. Papa? I'm okay, baby, Caelum lies. The baby's ready to come out. Elio's eyes go wide. Now? Soon. Dr. Ellis arrives, sets up equipment in the bedroom. Monitors, IV stand. Oxygen. She examines Caelum. You're dilated to 4 centimeters. Labor is active. How long? Hard to say. First births average 12 hours, but you're progressing fast. Dorian steps into the hallway, makes another call. How soon can the clinic be ready? Pause. We don't have 2 hours. He's in active labor now. Pause. Then we deliver here. He hangs up. Langston approaches. Sir, if we deliver here, there's no medical backup. No surgical team if something goes wrong. Dr. Ellis is capable. She's one person. Then she'll have to be enough. Langston's phone rings. He answers. Listens. His face drains of color. They're here. Dorian's entire body tenses. Who? Massachusetts Family Services. 2 vehicles. Court order in hand. How do they find us? Marcus. He gave them the location. Dorian's hands curl into fists. Downstairs, engines idle in the driveway. Car doors open, footsteps on gravel. Knock at the door. Mr. Vale, a voice calls. We have a court order for emergency custody. Open the door. Dorian looks at Langston. How many? 4 state officials. 2 Houston representatives. Armed? Officials won't be. Houston? Probably. Dorian walks to the window, looks down. 6 people, standing at his door, demanding entry, demanding his child, not his child, but it feels like it now. He turns to Caelum. How far apart are the contractions? 10 minutes. Can you move? I don't know. Another knock, louder. Mr. Vale, we will enter by force if necessary. Dorian's jaw tightens. He walks to the bedroom, kneels in front of Caelum. I need you to trust me. Caelum's eyes search his face. What are you going to do? Something I swore I'd never do again. What? Dorian stands, looks at Langston. Get them out. Back door. Take the second vehicle. Head north. Where? Anywhere they can't follow. Langston nods. Dorian looks at Caelum one more time. When your son is born, now I want you to know, I did everything I could. Then he walks downstairs, opens the door, faces 6 people who think they hold all the power. The back door slams open. Langston pulls Caelum through the kitchen. Elio runs beside them, bear clutched to his chest. Dr. Ellis follows, medical bag bouncing against her hip. Outside, a black SUV idles, engine running, doors open. Get in, Langston commands. Caelum hesitates. Through the front windows, he sees Dorian standing in the doorway, facing 6 people, alone. We can't leave him, Caelum says. We don't have a choice. Langston grabs Caelum's arm, not rough, urgent. Another contraction hits. Caelum gasps, grabs the car door. His knees buckle. Dr. Ellis checks her watch. 8 minutes since the last one. We need to move now. Langston lifts Caelum into the back seat. Elio scrambles in beside him. Dr. Ellis takes the front passenger seat. The SUV peels out. Gravel spraying. Through the rear window, Caelum watches the safe house shrink. Watches Dorian disappear inside with strangers who came to take everything. Where are we going? Caelum asks. Langston's eyes meet his in the rearview mirror. North, that's all you need to know. What about Dorian? He can handle himself. But the tension in Langston's jaw says otherwise. Inside the safe house, Dorian faces the woman leading the group. Margaret Chen, Massachusetts Department of Children and Families. Mid-50s, tired eyes. She holds a folder thick with documents. Mr. Vale, we have a court-ordered emergency custody warrant. We need to see Caelum Reyes immediately. Dorian doesn't move from the doorway. He's not here. Margaret's expression hardens. Sir, obstruction of a court order is a federal offense. So is human trafficking. The two Houston representatives step forward. Both men, expensive suits, dead eyes. The taller one speaks. We're not trafficking anyone. We have legal documentation. Documentation purchased through coercion, Dorian interrupts. Marcus Holloway was threatened into signing those papers. Do you have proof? I will. By tomorrow morning, every news outlet in the Northeast will have the story. Margaret raises a hand. Mr. Vale, I understand your concerns, but I have a job to do. If Mr. Reyes is in active labor, he needs medical attention. Let us help. Your help comes with handcuffs. It comes with legal authority. Dorian studies her, sees exhaustion, sees someone following orders she doesn't fully believe in. How many Omegas have you taken from protective custody this year? He asks quietly. Margaret flinches. That's not... How many, Miss Chen? She doesn't answer. This is the third one, Dorian says. I checked. 3 emergency custody orders in 8 months. All involving Houston-based entities. All involving pregnant Omegas. And where are those Omegas now? Silence. You don't know, Dorian continues. Because once they leave your jurisdiction, they disappear. Margaret's face pales. I follow the law. The law is being used as a weapon. One of the Houston reps steps closer. Enough philosophy. Where is the Omega? Dorian's eyes lock onto him. Cold. Absolute. Gone. The man's hand moves toward his jacket. Dorian doesn't blink. You pull that gun, you die before it clears leather. The man freezes. Margaret intervenes. Everyone calm down. Mr. Vale, if you've moved Mr. Reyes, you've violated the court order. I'm required to notify local authorities. Do what you need to do. She pulls out her phone, makes the call. Within minutes, sirens approach. 2 police cruisers pull into the driveway. Dorian watches through the window, calculates options, all of them bad. The SUV speeds north on Route 2. Trees blur past. Caelum breathes through another contraction. 7 minutes apart now. Dr. Ellis monitors his pulse. Your heart rate is elevated. Try to relax. Relax. The word sounds impossible. Elio presses against Caelum's side. Papa, does it hurt? A little, baby. I'm scared. Me too. Langston's phone buzzes. He answers. Listens. His knuckles whiten on the steering wheel. Understood, he says. Hangs up. What happened? Caelum asks. Police arrived at the safe house. Dorian's being detained for questioning. They arrested him? Not yet, but they will if he doesn't cooperate. He was protecting us. That's not how the law sees it. Caelum's chest tightens. This man, this alpha who owed him nothing, is facing criminal charges because a 4-year-old showed mercy. We have to go back, Caelum says. We can't. I won't let him go to prison for me. Langston's voice sharpens. You don't have a choice. If you go back, Houston takes your baby. Dorian knows that. That's why he stayed. Another contraction. Stronger. Longer. Caelum grips the seat, bites back a scream. Dr. Ellis checks her watch. 6 minutes. How much longer until we're somewhere safe? Caelum gasps. Another hour, Langston says. I don't have an hour. Then we'll deliver in the car if we have to. Caelum closes his eyes, tries to breathe, tries to think, but thought fractures under pain. Back at the safe house, police officers enter. Two of them, young, uncertain. Dorian stands in the living room, hands visible, non-threatening. The senior officer speaks. "Mr. Vale, we need you to come with us." "On what charge?" "Interference with a court order." "I haven't interfered with anything." "You moved a person under emergency custody warrant." "I moved someone under my protection." "That's not your decision to make." Dorian almost smiles. "Officer, everything in this state is my decision to make." The younger cop reaches for his cuffs. The senior officer stops him. "Sir, don't make this harder than it needs to be." "I'm not resisting, but I'm also not going anywhere until my attorney arrives." "You're not under arrest. This is just questioning." "Then I'm invoking my right to counsel." Margaret steps forward. "Mr. Vale, where is Caelum Reyes?" "I don't know." "You're lying." "Prove it." Her phone rings. She answers. Listens. Her face changes. She hangs up. Looks at the Houston reps. "Your contract just got invalidated." The taller rep stiffens. "What?" "Marcus Holloway recanted his testimony. Said he was coerced. Texas family court suspended the emergency order pending investigation." Silence explodes through the room. Dorian's expression doesn't change, but satisfaction flickers in his eyes. The Houston rep pulls out his phone, makes a frantic call, argues in clipped sentences. Margaret turns to Dorian. "You orchestrated this." "I made a few phone calls." "To who?" "People who value truth over profit." The Houston reps leave, storming out, cursing. Margaret watches them go, then looks at Dorian. "You're either very brave or very stupid." "Often the same thing." She closes her folder. "The custody order is suspended, but this isn't over. Houston will appeal. They'll come back with more documentation." "Let them try." Margaret studies him. "Why are you doing this?" Dorian doesn't answer immediately. Finally, because someone has to. She nods slowly, signals the officers. They leave. The house empties. Dorian stands alone, pulls out his phone, calls Langston. "It's clear. Bring them back." "Sir, Caelum's contractions are 5 minutes apart." "How far out are you?" 30 minutes. "Turn around. I will deliver at the safe house." "Are you sure?" "We don't have another option." Langston ends the call, makes a U-turn. In the back seat, Caelum feels pressure. Low, intense. "Something's wrong," he whispers. Dr. Ellis turns. "What do you feel?" "Pressure. Like the baby's pushing." She climbs into the back seat, examines him quickly. Her face goes pale. "You're at 9 centimeters. "What does that mean?" "It means we're not making it back to the house." Langston glances in the mirror. "There's a rest stop 2 miles ahead." "We'll need more than a rest stop," Dr. Ellis says. "We need a clean space, running water." "There's a motel," Langston says. "Off the next exit." "Do it." The SUV pulls off the highway. Gravel lot. Neon sign flickering. Motel 6. Langston parks near the office, runs inside, returns with a key. Room 14, and he helps Caelum out of the car. Dr. Ellis guides him. Elio follows, eyes wide. Inside, the room smells like cleaning chemicals and old carpet. 2 beds, small bathroom, dated furniture. Dr. Ellis points to the nearest bed. "Lie down." Caelum obeys. Another contraction hits. 10 seconds of white-hot pain. He screams. Elio starts crying. Langston kneels beside the boy. "Hey, your papa's strong. He's okay." "He's hurting." "He's bringing your brother into the world. That's hard work." Dr. Ellis scrubs her hands in the bathroom sink, returns with towels, gloves. "Caelum, on the next contraction, I need you to push." "I can't." "Yes, you can." Another contraction builds. Now, Dr. Ellis commands. Push! Caelum bears down. Every muscle strains. Good. Again. He pushes. I can see the head. One more. Caelum grits his teeth. He pushes with everything left. A cry fills the room. Small, sharp, alive. Dr. Ellis lifts a tiny, squirming infant. It's a boy. She places him on Caelum's chest. Warm, wet, perfect. Caelum's hands cradle his son. Tears stream down his face. Elio climbs onto the bed, stares at his baby brother. He's so small. He's perfect, Caelum whispers. Dr. Ellis works quickly, clamps the cord, cuts it, cleans the baby. The newborn's eyes open, dark, searching. Caelum touches his son's cheek. Hi, baby, I'm your papa. The infant's fingers curl around Caelum's thumb. Outside headlights cut through the parking lot. Langston tenses, hand moving toward his jacket. But it's just Dorian, stepping out of a sedan. Alone. He enters the motel room, stops at the doorway, sees Caelum holding the baby, sees Elio beaming, sees life that almost didn't exist. Is he okay? Dorian asks quietly. Dr. Ellis nods. Healthy, strong lungs, good color. Dorian steps closer, looks at the infant. What's his name? Caelum meets his eyes. Elijah, it means my God is Yahweh. Protector. Dorian's jaw tightens. He's beautiful. Caelum shifts the baby. Would you like to hold him? Dorian hesitates. I don't. Please. Slowly, Dorian takes the infant, supports his head, holds him like something sacred. The baby stares up at him, and something in Dorian's expression cracks. Not breaks. Cracks open. Let's light in. Thank you, Caelum whispers. Dorian looks at him. For what? For remembering what mercy looks like. Federal agents arrive at dawn. 3 black sedans, unmarked. They surround the motel. Langston sees them first. He's standing guard outside room 14, hand already on his weapon. A woman steps out of the lead car. FBI jacket, badge visible. Agent Sharon Whitmore. 40-something, no-nonsense expression. Langston Pierce, she calls. We need to talk. Langston doesn't move. About? Interstate custody violation, obstruction of justice. Take your pick. We have legal counsel. I'm sure you do. But right now, I need to see Dorian Vale. Inside the room, Dorian hears the voices. He's been awake for hours, sitting in a chair near the window, watching Caelum sleep with baby Elijah on his chest. He stands, walks outside. Agent Whitmore assesses him. Mr. Vale, we have some questions. Ask them. Not here, at the field office. Am I under arrest? Not yet, but Houston filed federal charges. Kidnapping, conspiracy. They're claiming you abducted Caelum Reyes against his will. Dorian's eyes narrow. That's absurd. Is it? Because their documentation shows you removed him from 3 different locations, evaded state officials, delivered a baby in an unlicensed facility. I protected someone who needed protection. That's not your job. Someone had to make it my job. Agent Whitmore sighs. Mr. Vale, I've read your file. I know what you've built. I know how you operate, but this? She gestures toward the motel. This is messy, and messy gets people hurt. The only people getting hurt are those trying to commodify children. Save the speech. I need you to come with me. Dorian glances back at the motel room. At Caelum, at the baby, at Elio sleeping in the second bed. Give me 10 minutes. 5. He returns inside, kneels beside Caelum's bed. Caelum wakes, sees Dorian's face, knows immediately. They're taking you. For questioning, not arrest. What's the difference? Time. Caelum's eyes fill. This is my fault. No, it's Houston's fault, and they'll pay for it. How? Dorian touches the baby's tiny hand. I'm going to dismantle them, piece by piece, until there's nothing left. And if they dismantle you first? Dorian stands. Then Langston will get you somewhere safe. I don't want safe, I want you. The words hang between them. Dorian's expression softens. Barely. I'll come back. He leaves, walks to the sedan. Gets in. Agent Whitmore drives. At the Boston field office, Dorian sits in an interrogation room. Metal table, 2 chairs, cameras recording. Agent Whitmore enters with a file, sits across from him. Let's start simple, she says. How did you meet Caelum Reyes? His son gave me $50. She blinks. Excuse me? Queens. 2 nights ago. The child offered me money because I looked sad. And that prompted you to, what? Upend your entire operation? It prompted me to remember why I built my operation in the first place. Agent Whitmore opens the file. Houston claims you coerced Caelum into leaving Brooklyn, that you threatened him. Houston lies. They have witness statements. From who? Marcus Holloway? The man who sold his own child? Mr. Holloway recanted his coercion claims this morning. Dorian smiles, faint. Did he? Yes, which makes me wonder. What leverage do you have on him? Truth. Apparently it still works occasionally. Agent Whitmore leans back, studies him. You know what I think, Mr. Vale? I'm sure you'll tell me. I think you saw an opportunity. Omega in distress, child involved. You could play hero, get good press, maybe even legitimize some of your operations. Dorian's smile vanishes. Agent Whitmore, I've never needed good press, and I've never played hero. Then what are you doing? Preventing a child from being stolen. The law says otherwise. The law is being manipulated. So you manipulated it back. I corrected it. She closes the file. Here's your problem. Houston has deep pockets, political connections. They're going to fight this, hard, and when they do, everything you've built will come under scrutiny. Let it. You're willing to lose everything? I'm willing to lose everything that was built on the wrong foundation. Agent Whitmore stands. I'll be in touch. She leaves. Dorian sits alone, stares at his reflection in the 2-way mirror, knows people are watching, knows they're calculating, and knows his empire is fracturing. Back at the motel, Caelum feeds Elijah. The baby latches immediately. Strong, healthy. Dr. Ellis monitors them both. He's doing great, and your vitals are stabilizing. Langston enters. We need to move. FBI knows this location. Where do we go? Caelum asks. I have a place, off the grid. No electronic trail. For how long? As long as it takes. Elio wakes up, rubs his eyes. Where's Dorian? Caelum's voice breaks. He had to go help some people. Is he coming back? I hope so, baby. But hope feels thin. They pack quickly. Minimal belongings, medical supplies, diapers, formula as backup. The SUV leaves before sunrise. 90 minutes later, they arrive at a cabin in rural Vermont. No neighbors, no cell service. Solar panels on the roof. Inside, the space is simple. Wood stove, 2 bedrooms, young propane fridge. Langston builds a fire. Stay here, don't leave for any reason. What about Dorian? Caelum asks. He'll find you when it's safe. And if it's never safe? Langston doesn't answer. He leaves supplies, extra cash, burner phone with 1 number programmed. Then he's gone. Caelum stands in the cabin, holding Elijah, watching Elio explore, wondering if this is freedom or just a prettier cage. In Boston, Dorian's attorney Rebecca Hale sits across from him in a private conference room. Houston filed an injunction, she says. They want Elijah placed in state custody pending investigation. On what grounds? Unsafe environment, unlicensed birth, parental unfitness. Caelum is perfectly fit. He's homeless, no income, no stable residence. Because Houston made him that way. Rebecca rubs her temples. Mr. Vale, now we're losing. Every legal avenue is closing. Then we use illegal ones. I can't advise that. I'm not asking for advice. She stands. If you go off the legal path, I can't represent you. I understand. She leaves. Dorian makes a call. I need extraction logistics. 2 adults, 1 infant, 1 child. Destination Canada. Pause. Tonight. He hangs up, pulls up a text chain, sends 1 message. Be ready to move at 2 a.m. At the Vermont cabin, Caelum's burner phone buzzes. He reads the message. Looks at Elijah sleeping in a makeshift bassinet. Looks at Elio building a tower from firewood. Looks at the door that might open to freedom or disaster. The extraction team arrives at 1:47 a.m. 2 vehicles, no headlights, engines barely audible. Caelum watches through the cabin window, heart hammering, Elijah asleep against his chest, Elio holding his hand. A knock. 3 soft raps. Caelum opens the door. Langston stands there. Behind him, 2 men. Tactical gear, professional. Silent. We have 18 minutes, Langston says. Then the window closes. What window? Border Patrol shift change. We've got a gap, but it's narrow. Caelum's legs feel weak. This is really happening. Only if you want it to. Caelum looks down at Elijah, at the tiny face that almost became property, at the child who should never have to run. I want it. They move fast. Langston carries the bags. One of the tactical guys takes Elio, the other scouts ahead. They load into the vehicles. Caelum in the back of the first one. Langston driving. The convoy moves north, through dark roads, no streetlights, just trees and silence. Where's Dorian? Caelum asks. Meeting us at the border. Is he okay? Langston's jaw tightens. He's handling things. Which means no. In Boston, Dorian sits across from Vincent Cross, Houston's lawyer, the man who started this. They're in a neutral location, high-rise conference room, glass walls overlooking the city. Vincent smiled, confident, predatory. Mr. Vale, I'm surprised you agreed to meet. You said you had an offer. I do. Drop your protection of Caelum Reyes. Walk away. We'll withdraw all federal charges. And the baby? Becomes property of Meridian Holdings as contractually agreed. Dorian's hands rest flat on the table. Controlled. No. Vincent's smile doesn't waver. You're willing to go to prison? I'm willing to destroy you. With what? You have no leverage. I have information. Financial records, wire transfers, communications between Meridian Holdings and 3 sitting judges in Texas. Vincent's smile falters. You've been bribing judges, Dorian continues. For 18 months, every custody case you've won? Purchased. You can't prove that. I already did. Federal prosecutors have copies. So does the Boston Globe. Front page tomorrow morning. Vincent's face goes pale. You're bluffing. Dorian pulls out his phone, shows him an email, draft article, headline, Houston Syndicate bribes judges in Omega trafficking ring. Vincent stares at the screen. You release that, you start a war. War's already started. You just didn't know you were losing. Vincent stands. This isn't over. Yes, it is. Vincent leaves, slamming the door. Dorian sits alone, exhales slowly. His phone buzzes. Langston. Approaching border. High ETA 12 minutes. Dorian stands, walks to the window, watches the city that almost became his grave. Then he leaves. At the Canadian border, the vehicles stop at a service road, not the official crossing, a gap in the fence. maintained by people who profit from invisibility. A man waits there. French-Canadian accent. Cash-only operation. Langston hands him an envelope. As agreed. The man counts it, nods. You have 6 minutes before patrol returns. They move quickly. Through the gap, into Canadian territory. On the other side, another vehicle waits. Quebec plates. Caelum climbs in, still holding Elijah. Elio beside him. Langston doesn't get in. You're not coming? Caelum asks. I have to go back, clean up the trail. What about Dorian? He'll meet you in Montreal. When? Langston hesitates. Why, when it's safe. Caelum's chest tightens. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. The driver starts the engine. Caelum watches Langston disappear into darkness. They drive for hours, silent roads, through small towns, past forests. Montreal appears at dawn, skyline glowing. The vehicle stops outside an apartment building, modest, clean. A woman waits at the entrance, 50s, kind eyes. I'm Marie, you'll stay with me. Caelum follows her inside, up 3 flights, into a 2-bedroom apartment. Warm, safe. Marie shows them the rooms. Bathroom here, kitchen stocked. You need anything, you ask? How long can we stay? Caelum asks. As long as necessary. That night, Caelum feeds Elijah, rocks him to sleep, places him in a borrowed crib. Elio sleeps in the 2nd bedroom, exhausted. Caelum sits by the window, watches Montreal's lights flicker, wonders if Dorian is okay, wonders if this is freedom or just a different kind of cage. His burner phone buzzes. Unknown number. He answers. Caelum. Dorian's voice. Tired. Strained. Are you okay? I'm alive. That's enough for now. Where are you? Still in Boston. Cleaning up. When are you coming? Silence. Dorian? I don't know if I can. Caelum's heart stops. What do you mean? Houston filed charges. Federal. I'm under investigation. If I cross the border, I'm a fugitive. So what? You just stay there? I stay and fight. Legally. The right way. Tears burn Caelum's eyes. You did all of this. Protected us. Saved us. And now you're trapped? I'm not trapped. I'm choosing. Choosing what? To make sure Houston never does this again. To anyone. Caelum presses his hand against the window. A cold glass. I don't want to lose you. You won't. This isn't goodbye. It feels like it. Then feel something else. Like what? Like hope. Like the fact that your son is safe. That Elio is safe. That you're free. Caelum's voice breaks. I don't feel free without you. Dorian exhales slowly. Caelum. Don't. Don't tell me this is for the best. Don't tell me you're doing the right thing. I am. Then why does it hurt so much? Silence. Because mercy always costs something, Dorian finally says. And this time, I'm paying the price. The line goes quiet, not dead, just heavy. I have to go, Dorian says, but I'll call when I can. Promise? I promise. He hangs up. Caelum sits alone, holding the phone. Montreal stretches outside, a city that doesn't know his name, doesn't know his story. He walks to the crib, looks at Elijah, at the tiny chest rising and falling, at the life that almost wasn't, and realizes freedom doesn't always look like victory. Sometimes it looks like survival. Sometimes it looks like living in a foreign city with a newborn and a 4-year-old, and a man who saved you, but can't stay. 6 weeks later, Dorian walks into federal court. Boston. Morning light slanting through tall windows. The courtroom smells like old wood and recycled air. He wears a suit. Charcoal? Tailored? No Rolex today. Just presence. Rebecca Hale sits beside him, files stacked. Ready. Across the aisle, Vincent Cross, Houston's legal team. 4 lawyers, all expensive. The judge enters, Honorable Patricia Moreno, 60-something, no-nonsense reputation. Be seated, she says. Everyone complies. We're here regarding United States versus Dorian Vale. Charges of interstate custody interference, obstruction of justice, and conspiracy to commit kidnapping. Judge Moreno looks at Dorian. How do you plead? Dorian stands. Not guilty, Your Honor. Be seated. Rebecca stands. Your Honor, we move to dismiss all charges on the grounds that the underlying custody order was obtained through fraud and coercion. Vincent rises. Objection! The custody order was legitimate under Texas law. Texas law obtained through bribery, Rebecca counters. She submits documents. We have evidence that Meridian Holdings paid 3 sitting judges over 18 months to expedite custody orders in Omega trafficking cases. The courtroom murmurs. Judge Moreno raises a hand. Silence falls. Ms. Hale, these are serious allegations. Supported by bank records, wire transfers, and recorded communications, all submitted in our brief. Judge Moreno looks at Vincent. Mr. Cross? Vincent's face is tight. Those documents are illegally obtained. They were obtained through legal discovery, Rebecca says. Subpoenaed from Meridian Holdings financial institutions, Judge Moreno reads. Flips pages. Her expression darkens. Mr. Cross, I'm inclined to agree with Ms. Hale. These records indicate a pattern of judicial corruption. Your Honor, I'm not finished. Furthermore, Marcus Holloway's sworn affidavit states he was coerced into signing custody documents under threat of violence. That invalidates the original contract. Vincent sits, defeated. Judge Moreno continues. However, Mr. Vale did violate interstate custody orders. Regardless of their legitimacy, he acted outside legal authority. Dorian stands. Your Honor, may I speak? She nods. Might I understand I broke the law? I moved Caelum Reyes across state lines. I facilitated his relocation to Canada. I obstructed official proceedings. He pauses. But I did it to prevent a child from being commodified. And I'd do it again. The courtroom is silent. Judge Moreno studies him. Mr. Vale, the law exists for a reason. Yes, to protect people. And when it fails to do that, someone has to step in. That's vigilantism. That's survival. She leans back. I'm not unsympathetic to your position, but I can't condone lawlessness. I'm not asking for condoning, I'm asking for understanding. Judge Moreno looks at the documents again, at Vincent, at Dorian. Here's my ruling. All charges against Mr. Vale are dropped. Meridian Holdings is under federal investigation for bribery and corruption. Mr. and Holloway's custody claims are null and void. Relief floods the room. However, Judge Moreno continues, Mr. Vale, you are prohibited from leaving the United States for 6 months. Consider it probation. If you violate that, charges will be reinstated. Dorian nods. Understood, Your Honor. Court adjourns. Rebecca touches his arm. You won. Did I? You're free. Houston is finished. But I can't cross the border. Rebecca's expression softens. Give it 6 months. Then you can. Dorian walks out of the courthouse. Sunlight hits his face. Langston waits at the car. How'd it go? Charges dropped. Travel restrictions in place. For how long? 6 months. Langston opens the car door. Could be worse. Could be better. They drive back to Manhattan. Dorian stares out the window, watches the city move. Unaware, indifferent. His empire is intact. Barely. Houston is dismantled. Caelum and the children are safe. But he's alone. In Montreal, Caelum sits in Marie's living room. Elijah sleeps in his arms. 6 weeks old, growing fast. Elio plays with wooden blocks. Building towers, knocking them down. Caelum's phone rings. Dorian. Hey, Caelum answers. Hey, you busy? Just feeding the baby. You? Just left court. And? Charges dropped. Caelum exhales. Relief crashes over him. Thank God. But I can't leave the country for 6 months. The relief evaporates. 6 months, Caelum repeats. Yeah. Silence. I'm sorry, Dorian says. For what? For not being there. You're doing everything you can. It's not enough. Caelum looks at Elijah, at the tiny face that carries Dorian's protection in every breath. Aye, it's enough for now. Is it? It has to be. More silence. How's Elio? Dorian asks. He asks about you every day. What do you tell him? That you're fighting bad guys, that you'll come when you can. Does he believe you? He's 4. He believes everything. Dorian almost laughs. Almost. And Elijah? Perfect. Strong. He has your eyes. He has your strength. Caelum's throat tightens. I miss you. I miss you too. 6 months is a long time. I know. What happens after? I don't know, but I'll figure it out. We'll figure it out, Caelum corrects. Dorian's voice softens. Yeah, we will. They talk for another hour, about nothing, about everything. When they hang up, Caelum feels lighter, not free, but hopeful. Hope is dangerous, but it's all they have. That night, Dorian sits in his penthouse, alone. He pulls out his phone, opens a photo. Caelum holding Elijah in the motel room. Elio beside them, smiling. A family Dorian protected but can't touch. He sets the phone down, looks at the city, thinks about empires built on fear, about mercy that costs everything, about a 4-year-old who gave $50 and changed the trajectory of lives, and decides that 6 months isn't forever. It's just time. Time to rebuild. Not an empire, but a life. One that doesn't require shadows. One that can stand in light. 5 months and 27 days later, Dorian stands at the border. Not crossing, not yet. Just standing, looking north. Quebec is 40 feet away. Might as well be another planet. Langston stands beside him. 3 more days. I know. You've waited this long. Doesn't make it easier. They return to the car. In Montreal, Caelum wakes to Elijah crying. 5 months old now, teething, fussy. He lifts the baby, walks to the window, rocks him gently. Outside, Montreal's waking up. Cars, buses, people moving toward lives they understand. Caelum still feels like a visitor. Marie knocks softly, enters with coffee. He's hungry? Always. She smiles, takes Elijah, and gives Caelum the coffee. You sleep? A little. Liar. Caelum almost laughs. Elio runs in. Papa, can we go to the park? After breakfast, but I'm not hungry. You will be. They eat together. Toast, eggs, juice. Afterward, they walk to the park. Small, swings, slide. Elio runs ahead, fearless. Caelum pushes Elijah in the stroller, watches his son play. His phone rings. 3 days, Dorian says. Caelum's heart jumps. You're sure? Probation ends Friday. I'm crossing Saturday morning. You're really coming? I'm really coming. Caelum can't speak. Emotion clogs his throat. Hey, Dorian says softly. You okay? Yeah, I didn't think this day would come. It's coming, and when I get there, we're going to figure everything out. What's there to figure out? Where we go from here. Caelum watches Elio climb the slide, watches Elijah sleep peacefully. We go forward, he says. Together? If you want that. I've wanted that since the night you gave me $50. Dorian laughs, actual laughter. That was Elio. Same thing. They talk until Elio demands attention. 3 days pass like years. Friday night, Dorian packs a bag. Not much, just essentials. Langston drives him north Saturday morning. They reach the border at 9 a.m. Dorian steps out of the car, passport in hand. And the border agent checks it, scans it, looks at him. Purpose of visit? Family? How long? As long as they'll have me. The agent stamps the passport. Welcome to Canada. Dorian crosses, steps onto Canadian soil, breathes. Langston waves from the other side, drives away. Dorian takes a taxi to Montreal, to the address Caelum sent. He stands outside the apartment building, looks up, 3rd floor, window open. He climbs the stairs, knocks. The door opens. Caelum stands there, holding Elijah, eyes wide. You're here? I'm here? Elio appears, sees Dorian, screams. Dorian! Runs. Crashes into him. Dorian kneels, hugs the boy. Hey, little man? You came back. I promised, didn't I? Elio nods, beaming. Dorian stands, looks at Caelum, at Elijah. Can I? Caelum hands him the baby. Dorian takes Elijah. The infant stares up at him, doesn't cry, just looks. He remembers you, Caelum whispers. I doubt that. I told him about you every day. They stand in the doorway, not speaking, just existing in the same space. Finally, Caelum steps aside. Come in. Dorian enters. The apartment is small, but it's home. Marie appears. You must be Dorian. I am. Welcome, I made lunch. They eat together, around a small table, laughing, talking. Elio tells Dorian about school, about friends, about the park. Elijah sits in his high chair, gumming a teething ring. After lunch, Marie takes Elio to the park, gives them space. Caelum and Dorian sit on the couch, Elijah between them. What happens now? Caelum asks. I don't know, but I have some ideas. Like? I sold most of my holdings. Legitimate businesses stay. Everything else gone. Caelum's eyes widen. Nox, you sold your empire? I sold the parts that required shadows. Kept the parts that can stand in light. Why? Dorian looks at him. Really looks. Because I don't want to be that person anymore. The one who operates in darkness. I want to be someone who can stand beside you. In daylight. Caelum's eyes fill. You really mean that? I really do. What about your people? The ones who depended on you? Langston is handling transitions. Everyone gets fair compensation. New leadership where needed. It's messy, but it's right. Elijah reaches for Dorian. Tiny hands, trusting. Dorian lifts him, holds him close. I want to be here, Dorian says. With you, with them. If you'll have me. Caelum touches his face. I've been waiting for you to ask that. Is that a yes? It's a yes. They sit together, watching Elijah, and listening to Montreal outside. We're not traditional, Caelum says. I don't want traditional. We're not easy. I don't want easy. We're not. Dorian kisses him. Soft. Certain. When they pull apart, Caelum is crying. What's wrong? Dorian asks. Nothing. Everything's right. For the first time in years, everything's right. That night, they put Elijah to bed together, read Elio a story. Then they sit on the small balcony, watching the city lights. You know what I realized? Dorian says. What? That night in Queens, when Elio gave me $50, he wasn't just being kind. He was showing me what I'd forgotten. What's that? That protection isn't about control. It's about care. Caelum leans against him. You protected us when no one else would. And you gave me a reason to be someone better. They sit in silence, comfortable, complete. Montreal stretches below, a city full of people who will never know what happened, who will never know that a mafia sovereign dismantled his empire for an Omega and 2 children, who will never know that $50 changed everything. But Caelum knows. Elio knows. Elijah will know. And that's enough. Because real power isn't measured in territory. It's measured in the people you choose to protect and the life you build when the protecting is done. 6 months later, Dorian and Caelum stand in a small office. Canadian immigration official across the desk. Your application for permanent residency has been approved, she says. Dorian exhales. Relief. Permanence. They walk out together, Elio between them, Elijah in a carrier on Caelum's chest. We're really staying, Caelum says. Yeah, we're really staying. No more running. No more running. They walk through Montreal, past cafes, past parks, past lives that are now theirs. And somewhere in Queens, New York, a deli sign still flickers. Rain still falls on pavement. But the Omega who stood there 7 months ago is gone, replaced by someone who found safety, who found love, who found home. Not because of money, not because of power, but because a 4-year-old offered mercy, and an alpha remembered what mercy meant. Most people will never know what almost disappeared that night. Most people will never know about the protection network quietly operating across the East Coast, preventing Omegas from being commodified, stopping trafficking before it starts. Most people will never know that Dorian rebuilt his operations around one principle: protect the vulnerable. I not control them, and that's exactly why it works. Because real power doesn't announce itself. It just shows up when needed, stays as long as necessary, and steps back when the protecting is done. Caelum looks at Dorian, at the man who gave up everything. Thank you, he whispers. For what? For seeing us, when no one else did. Dorian takes his hand. You gave me something to see. They walk home, together, complete. And in that small apartment in Montreal, surrounded by the noise of a city that doesn't know their story, a family exists. Not traditional, not easy, not perfect, but real. And sometimes real is the only thing that matters. Thank you for watching this story. If it touched your heart, inspired you, or reminded you that mercy still exists in unexpected places, please subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss another story that might change how you see the world. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And remember, one act of kindness, no matter how small, can rewrite someone's entire future. Be that kindness, be that hope. Until next time, keep believing in the power of compassion.